Welcome guys! When starting out a new round of PUBG, you always have a choice to make. Should you go full mayhem at the school or a similar populated area, or should you try to start out in a tactical position with low chance of encountering enemies at the beginning? If you choose the latter and you still end up near an enemy, then what? How should you handle the early 1 versus 1? This guide will give you some tips and tricks by using examples of my own games to show you how you can end up as the survivor of the early encounters. Tip 1. Just get a weapon and immediately start pushing your enemy. When landing near an enemy, make sure you have a good idea of which building he went inside. Rush inside your own building and at the very second you find a weapon, grab it and push him immediately. Slowly move up to his building and start waiting in an awkward position while you listen carefully for clues as to where he is. But sometimes the slow approach isn't viable. An example of this would be when your enemy is landing inside a warehouse which is quickly looted. You simply won't have enough time before he's out there looking for you. Tip 2. Never go into ADS on close range with a pistol. Sometimes you'll only have a pistol, and that's alright, but make sure you avoid going into ADS. The pistol is much easier to handle in general or targeting mode, although the crosshair is a bit strange. Tip 3. Don't let your enemy know you're pushing him. Most players are used to being pushed when landing in a contested area, and that's why they'll often be using sound cues to determine if they're being pushed or not. So sometimes it's better to stay hidden rather than just storming the front. Approach the building of your enemy very slowly while listening for information without giving anything away of your own. In this case, it was pretty clear that the enemy was still inside the building, as I could easily hear his footsteps, so getting in a good position and waiting for him to get out was a good approach. But sometimes this requires some patience. I'll make sure to provide a link to my crouch jumping guide. Tip 4. Use the weather to your advantage. When it rains, your footsteps almost perfectly blend into the sound of the heavy rain. This makes for a perfect opportunity to take down your enemy by storm in the first minutes of the game, as they won't be able to hear you coming. Foggy weather makes for a slightly easier escape in tense situations, which brings me to tip number 5. Sometimes it's better to live to fight another day. When being pushed by an enemy while not yet having found a weapon of your own, you could go for some boxing. Chances are though that you'll probably die. When in a stressful situation like this, don't panic, keep your cool and run. Just make sure you wait for him to finish his looting so you can kill him after. and take all the stuff which is rightfully yours. I do think, however, that you should generally try to avoid the early fights. These are involved with a high degree of luck, and you might flip the wrong side of the coin. When you want to get far in PUBG on a consistent basis, always try to land in low contested areas. Get your loot and let the first 50 people kill each other within the first 5 minutes of the game. It's much easier to get chicken dinner if you're alive. Now that's all I had for you guys in this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.